Get some help, Jay Ellis. It's time to hang him up. It's been time to hang him up. 16 in 106. Are you kidding me? Get some help, Jay Ellis. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the Draftkings Picks and Prediction Show, the first one of 2023. We are right back with the same crew, which I love. We got Weezy, we got Gordo, we got Monk. We had a very fun year last year. I believe Gordo took the title with the last card. It was neck and neck, but he got it done. So curious to see how we do this week in terms of the Draftkings lineups. But we will start with you, Weezy. Weezy, are you looking forward to UFC Vegas 67? Seems like a pretty good card, especially from a DraftKings perspective.
Yeah, it's good from DraftKings perspective. Not the best from betting, which is usually what I tend to lean towards more. But there's some fun fights on this card. I mean, the Basharat versus Mendoza is a really fun fight. Barcelos versus Nurmagomedov. There's some high-level fights on this card. Sneaky good fights. So really looking forward to breaking it down with you guys. So
Preston thinks he saw Jay Ellis outside of the Walmart. Are you sure he wasn't working at Walmart? Because I know he. Oh my gosh, man, that's hilarious. So we got only one in the chat as well. What is up? We got Gordo. Gordo, how was your break? You looking forward to this card?
I had myself a pretty eventful Twitter break, I'll tell you that, but we're not talking about that right now. We're gonna open up our 2023 UFC year with the fight of the year, man. Cachoeira Eubanks at 125. What a great way to come back from a 4-week break. I love it. But no, happy to be back on the Wednesday show with you guys. Looking forward to do this all year round. And thanks for shouting at the little crown. I love myself a contest with no drama.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got last but not least, Monk. Monk, are you looking forward to the card this week?
Yes, absolutely. No drama will be seen, I'm sure, on this card, but we'll just have to wait and see what weigh-ins bring. But yeah, it was nice to have a little break, but I am back ready for some fights this week for sure. It's a decent little card here. Get to see Umar again fighting on the first card of the year, and Dan Ige, we're going to get to see what's going on with that guy. Sean Strickland, if you didn't get enough of him at the end of last year, we're just going to run it back with a different opponent here. So should be an interesting card. Excited to get into it with you guys.
Yes, sir. If you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio, and consider becoming a member as well. I believe it's $5 or $10 a month. Big things to come with the membership for here at Pub Sports Radio. I think they're going to be doing some big things. So make sure if you are not on that, be sure to get on that. But we will start, as always, with the fight to target. And I'm going to kick this one off. I'll take the easy one here. Abdul, Razak, Alhassan, Claudio, Ribeiro, minus 600. Fight doesn't go to decision. I think it's like minus 800 on DraftKings or something. But yeah, I think this fight does finish inside the distance. Obviously, I think it does finish pretty early. 21 combined wins, 19 of them being in the very first round. Alhassan, 11 wins, all of them being in the very first round. Both guys have a ton of power. And I think both guys are just going to stand and bang it to one-man fall. So I slightly lean Alhassan at 8,300, but I will have my fair share of Ribeiro. Alhassan has been knocked out. He got knocked out in the first round by Chaos Williams. I think that's definitely on the table here as well. But yeah, both sides for me, it's a fight I'm going to be heavily invested in, probably one of my biggest fights in terms of exposure. Weezy, how about you? What is your favorite fight to target this week?
I'm going to give you guys Priscilla Cachoeira versus Sijara Eubanks. It's not just because your Uncle Weezy targets handsome women all the time here. That's part of it, but this is really about the DraftKings scores here. I'm all business on this fight. This is the 5th most likely fight to finish inside the distance according to the odds. And I see this fight playing out 2 different ways. Either Eubanks racks up takedowns, control time, and ground strikes for 3 rounds, or Priscilla at some point keeps it standing and finishes Sarge on the feet. Cachoeira is allowing 5.27 DraftKings points per minute, and she also averages 100 DraftKings points a minute when she wins fights. So no matter what, Cachoeira's fights, whoever's winning them is scoring a ton of points. And so if this fight plays out like I think it will, it should be a lower-owned fight because it's a women's fight, where the winner scores well and potentially is under-owned as well. So I think it's a sneaky fight where both fighters definitely have value, because Cachoeira at 7,400 has got some finish upside. She's finished 3 of her 4 wins. And even though Sijara is not a finisher at the UFC level, she's scoring way more than 3 points per minute. And in addition to that, she's also wrestling a lot. And I think that that's her path here. It's not to keep this fight standing. It's to rinse and repeat on the takedowns and accrue a ton of control time. And if she does that, Sijara scores a lot of points and Priscilla gives up a ton of points. So I think it's a good matchup for whoever wins this fight.
Yep, for sure. I agree. I learned a long time ago to target Priscilla Cachoeira fights for and against. They just score so well. Gordo, how about you? What is your fight to target this week?
Yeah, well, I do like myself some Alhassan Ribeiro as a fight to target. Let's give you a different angle here. It's a tough one to really talk about because we're missing a salary, but Argueta versus Aguirre is going to be one to target for me as well for a very, very simple reason. Not only is Argueta going to be one of the highest owned fighters due to his lower salary and him still having a price tag of minus 700, but also his opponent. I mean, the guy coming in here, a huge step up in competition. He's got all these first round finishes. You have to think that his style is going to allow Argueta to accrue these points at 8.6 at that huge chalky salary. But the other side of things, it's like Aguirre, whatever his salary comes in at, a win for him at all is probably going to be a finish like his other ones have been, and that's going to score very well. Not telling you to go out there and roster him, but both these fighters think their win conditions put them on the optimal lineup.
Yeah, another good one there. Another one that I think does finish. Monk, how about you? What is a fight you're targeting this week?
I'm going to go with Umar and Raoni. Barcelos here, 9,300, 6,900. Long story short, I think Umar is going to win here. I don't think it's probably going to be close. To be honest, rinse and repeat takedowns is what I'm looking for, or an absolutely dominant ground performance as he usually puts on, controlling 98.5% of all grappling time in his fights is Umar Nurmagomedov. So just killing it out there, 108 points per win in his last three, allowing just half a point in defensive pace. Barcelos on the other side, if it does not go Umar's way, Barcelos in his last five scores 3.76 points a minute. Very good offensive rate. He is $2,000 under his average salary in his last five. And in his last two losses, he's averaging 55.77 points per loss. So he's scoring well even in losses. I think whoever wins puts up a great number here, whether it's Umar or whether it's Barcelos. And even in a loss, I don't mind Barcelos for cash if he can get anywhere close to that average of 55. So I'll be targeting Nurmagomedov and Barcelos here for sure.
Yeah, can't wait for that fight. It's just a fascinating fight. I think I saw Nurmagomedov cleared the minus 1,000 mark. Yeah, he did, sitting at minus 1,000 on Bet Online against Barcelos. So I cannot wait for that one. Let us move on to our fight to fade. We'll start with you, Monk. Monk, what is your fight to fade this week?
Let's see here. Excuse me. I will go. Am I muted here? Am I good? Okay. Didn't want to start off being. It's a race to see who's going to be the first to mute themselves. I'm going to say it's not going to be me. I tell you what. Sean Strickland against Nassourdine Imavov. I think that might be a shitty fight to fade. I'll give it to you anyways. Imavov, only 5 fights in the UFC, 2.63 points per minute, 84 is what he scores per win. That's it. A very low ceiling. I don't expect much more than that from Imavov. I guess on short notice with Strickland, I could expect a little bit more than that. So I will take that back. Maybe that'll boost my percentage of Imavov just a bit, but it's probably going to be under the field. He has made optimal in 2 out of his last 4 fights. Interestingly enough, he did not score 100 points in either one of them. 98 against Shabazi, and he was 8,500. 94 against Ian Heinisch, in which he was the dog at $7,700 for Imavov over Heinisch. So either way, he has not put up over 100 points yet. I'd be shocked if he did that against Sean Strickland, who allows 2 points per minute in his last 5. So I'm going to be fading Imavov. Strickland could be decent value here, but yeah, on the short notice, I'm going to discount him just a little bit. So I'll probably pick Imavov to win, meaning he won't score well. So I'm going to fade this fight as a whole here, the main event.
Yeah, I'll be talking about Imavov pretty soon here as well. Gordo, how about you? What fight are you fading this week?
I'm taking the easy one. I'm taking Vieira Pennington. I mean, Vieira's never cracked 90 points. Pennington's never cracked 100. I think it is a sloppier fight. Pennington's only getting older as well. And this is not a fight I really want too much ownership on when there's so many volatile matchups. And then there's this one, I'm not really getting to it that often.
Yeah, a couple matchups fell off this card. I was kind of hoping this one would fall off, but we still have to watch it Saturday. Weezy, how about you? What fight are you fading this week?
Yeah, I'll give you guys Soriano Kopylov, since everybody else is probably picking Vieira Pennington. I'll go in a different direction here. Roman Kopylov's 3 UFC fights thus far have only averaged a total of 102.26 points per fight. That's both fighters and the win bonus. And that's the lowest total on this card. This isn't surprising when you watch Kopylov fight. He's low volume. He's risk averse. He doesn't wrestle. And he has really good takedown defense. So I see this being a low volume striking contest that only scores well if either guy lands an early KO. Both guys are durable, though, so I see it being a fairly easy fight to fade if you want to get a little bit different. I know a lot of people are on Punahele Soriano here, and they think he's a good value at this price, but I really see Puna as a knockout or bust guy. I mean, we had Brendan Allen just box this dude up for 3 full rounds. Very, very bad look, because it doesn't look like Puna really has a path other than just knocking somebody out with that straight left hand. And if he doesn't do that, I could see this being a really low scoring fight for both fighters.
Yep, I agree, and I think it's a sneaky one as well. I think Puna's going to be one of the highest fighters in that range there for the first one upside. But if he does not get that first round knockout, I don't think he scores much. So right there with you. I'm going to take the easy route. I mean, Ketlen, Vieira, Pennington plus 250 fight doesn't go to decision. I think it's going to be a super close fight, lots of clinching. Maybe Vieira gets a takedown here or there. But I don't see a finish. I don't see much going on. Just a pretty easy fade for me. Moving on to our fighter to fade, I will kick this one off. I'm going to go with Nassourdine Imavov at 8,700. I think it's a very close fight, and the odds definitely do indicate that. But we are getting Imavov at a salary of 8,700. Of course, he was supposed to fight Calvin Gastelum, so I just can't pay that price tag for him here. I think it's going to be a close fight that does probably go 5 rounds. Both guys very tough. Sean Strickland's not finishing anybody at this point, it seems like. And I kind of do lean the Strickland side as well. Just another reason for me to go out there and fade Imavov. So 8,700, can't quite get there personally. Weezy, what fighter are you fading this week?
Yeah, I'll give you guys Raquel Pennington, because I just don't see Raquel really winning this fight. And she's only scoring 2.69 DraftKings points per minute. Vieira is only allowing 2.63 points per minute. So Raquel has a pretty decent floor, because this fight probably does go to decision. And even in a loss, she probably scores somewhere around 30, 35, maybe even 40 points. But what's the upside? I mean, if we're talking about a cash lineup, especially, even if you get the winner in this fight, chances are, it doesn't get you very far in terms of with the volatile fighters like Monk mentioned, on this card. What good does it do you to get 8,000 points out of a winner? And that's really kind of upside for these two fighters. So, yeah, I think it's easy to fade Raquel Pennington, because I think Lamas probably does win this fight. But even if Raquel does, I just don't see much upside there. There's just a good floor there.
Love how you called her Lamas, but
Yeah.
Gordo, how about you? What fighter are you fading this week?
Yeah, I'm really struggling to get to as much Alan Nascimento as I thought I would. I mean, 9.1K. He's really a guy who is just not really giving me that same type of upside as the people around him. And we're looking at his fight. I mean, he's got minus 150 to go decision. He's not a super high volume guy. And although he does have a submission path, because he just throws him up from anywhere, I just don't see him scoring that well. I mean, he had a very good performance last time, only put out 83 points. I think Hernandez is going to put up a decent fight here. Really tough for me to get to Alan Nascimento at 9.1.
Yeah, definitely a pretty big price tag for him. Monk, fighter to fade this week.
Well, if you listen to that impassioned argument from Uncle Weezy and you're like, okay, fine, I'm betting Ketlen Vieira, let me be the one to tell you why you should avoid playing her as well, because this fight is terrible to target for DraftKings. Vieira in her last 5, it's even worse than Weezy said, 2.31 points per minute and less than 80 per win. She's allowing 2.95 per minute, and when she loses 101 points. Raquel, her only one loss in her last 5, she only gave up 65, and she is she's scoring over 3 points per minute. I like Raquel here only because if she wins, she's lower salaried by $200, and if she scores, according to how she scored in her last 5, she's going to get about 85 points in a decision win. So give me that, because she will then 10x, almost 10.5x, and possibly if shit gets crazy, that could be an optimal lineup. In a slate where I'm not picking it, I mean, a ton of dogs are not going to win, in my opinion. This is very few and far between this week as far as dogs go. I don't mind a little sprinkle on Pennington. If she can get the win at $8,000 and at least 10x, we're looking pretty good there. Don't necessarily mind it for cash either, as like a basic throwaway mid-range pick. But yeah, big fade on Ketlen Vieira. She doesn't do anything, especially lately, and I'm not excited for this one.
What a terrible fight. But we'll go to our favorite dog here. Gordo, we'll start with you. What is your favorite dog for this week?
Favorite dog? I mean, I have a bunch of them listed out here, but for some reason, the one that I have circled with most ownership, despite, what I might think of this fight, I do have a lot of Sean Strickland this weekend at 7.7. He's a guy who is going to go 5 rounds. And although he doesn't have the best type of scoring for DraftKings, I mean, this is a fight where he is the favorite. I think he's mispriced on the slate. He's a guy who I do think has a path to victory here. And in doing so, we haven't really seen the best types of cardio for someone in Imavov. So when you get a guy who's a main event fighter, who's probably going to go 5 rounds, who's an underdog, who's going to throw enough volume to win a fight, I do have myself with a lot of Sean Strickland in my lineups.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I like the price tag a lot. Like I said, I think it's a close fight. I don't strongly lean one way or another, but you're getting this guy, Sean Strickland, at 7,700, who he's landing a ton of strikes, 5.59 per minute. He scored like 68, I think, in the loss against Cannonier, and that fight very well could have went his way. He easily could have had 98 there. So I can count on the volume of Sean Strickland. Of course, his fight's at 205. I'm not sure what kind of shape he comes in, but if he comes in good shape, I mean, if he can go 5 rounds, he's going to put up a ton of volume along the way. So I do like Sean Strickland. Especially at that price tag at 7,700. Monk, how about you? Who is your favorite dog this week?
Favorite dog, I'm going to have to go with Damon Action Jackson here at 7,800. Guys made the optimal lineup in 3 out of his past 4 fights. In his last 5, he's averaging 4.3 points per minute and 100 per win. Guys, over the past 2 years, if you scored 100 points in your fights, throw salary out the window. If you scored 100 points, you made optimal lineup like 82.5% of the time. So that is a huge milestone to average triple digits. So I love seeing that from Jackson here. On top of that, Ige in his last 5, he is 1-4, 98 points per loss is what he's given up. Yes, there is a huge difference in strength of schedule here, but it's not quite as big as I would think. And B, we're going to really see, it's probably going to go one of 2 ways is what I'm trying to say. Jackson is going to either finish this fight relatively early with some wrestling and possibly a submission, even though Ige's never been subbed, or Jackson's going to wear himself out. Ige's going to hang on with his cardio and possibly finish this fight late, or at least drag it out. And, maybe somebody can get some ground and pound for some easy point, tallying. So I'm loving Damon Jackson here as an underdog at 7,800. The value, in my opinion, is through the roof. If he can get this thing, if he can beat Dan Ige, I think he does it in a manner in which scores well. So give me Damon Jackson.
Yeah, I think that fight in general is a good one to target with Jackson having the wrestling upside, the wrestling path, and then Ige having kind of the knockout path. So I'll be on that one as well. Weezy, how about you? Who is your favorite dog this week?
Yeah, it's going to be Sean Strickland. He's only 7,700 despite the fact this is a pick'em fight. So there's salary relief there. And like Monk was mentioning, you got like 6 favorites on this card that are minus 350 or more. So when you're finding somebody that's going to go for 5 rounds at 7,700 at a pick'em price, you just don't want to pass that up because you do want to have some of these more expensive guys in your lineup. So Strickland allows you the ability to be able to do that. You could do Strickland, you could do Argueta, who's cheap at 8,600. You could punt with one guy and then get 2 guys over 9,000 and another guy in the high 8,000s. So it's a good way to construct your lineup, starting with a guy like Sean Strickland. And let's talk about the fact that this guy was just in 5-round fight shape on December 17th. He went 5 full rounds with Cannonier. So his conditioning couldn't have slipped that much in the 3 weeks off. And the guy's already in the gym constantly anyway. So Sean averages 3.1 DraftKings points per minute. So over a 25-minute fight, that means about 77.5 DraftKings points in a loss. So safe high floor, decent upside play here for a very cheap price. I don't think you want to pass on this dude this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. The only thing I don't like is I think he is going to be pretty high owned. There's not a lot of dogs this week, and he's one clear dog. But yeah,
3 of the 4 of us mentioned him, right? So
yeah.
yeah.
It's hard to pass him at that price tag, though. All right, we will get into our prize picks section here. If you guys have not already, be sure to sign up on Prize Picks using promo code PubSports. Not a ton sticking out this week, but we'll start with you, Gordo. Anything sticking out? Anything you liking on Prize Picks this week?
Yeah, there's actually a few of them, and I won't lie. I just checked a few minutes ago for the first time, and there's a few things that did pop out on the board. The first of which being the unders on Alan Nascimento, not only the fantasy score, but the significant strikes as well. 53 just seems too high for a guy who is just mainly a grappler, whether it be falling to his back, pulling guard. I just don't think he's going to go out there and be able to exchange enough with Carlos Hernandez to win the fight. I think he's going to be out there shooting for takedowns, looking for control time, and 53.5 significant strikes is too high for me. So give me the under on that.
I'm also taking an under on a strikes. I'm going Abdul Razak Alhassan, significant strikes, under 45.5. I just really struggled to see Ribeiro eating 46 significant strikes from this guy. I mean, Abdul Razak Alhassan hits like an absolute truck. I think this fight, like I said, probably does end early, so I think that under is pretty solid there. So another under for me. Weezy, what are you liking for prize picks this week?
So the one that jumped out at me was the 9 minutes of fight time for Sijara Eubanks. I love the over there, but that comes with a caveat, is that we really do need to see Sijara on the scales, because this fight got moved from 135 down to 125. And if Sijara has a hard time making weight, I think that this thing could finish inside the distance. But if Sijara and Priscilla both look good on the scale here for this fight, 9 minutes of fight time, I would heartily bet that over. And really believe that would easily get to the third round if both of them are ready to go.
Yeah, and even if Eubanks does look like crap on the scales, I think that if she does lose, it is probably like later in the fight as well. So yeah, I don't mind that 9 minutes whatsoever. And then Monk, how about you?
Excuse me. I'm going to go with Umar Nurmagomedov over 91.5 fantasy points scored. Like I said, I like Barcelos. I like a lot of his numbers. I will be playing him in cash a bit. But I think Nurmagomedov gets the job done, and I don't think he makes it look close, in my opinion. So I could be wrong, but until I am, I think he smashes this 91.5 number relatively easily. So give me the over on fantasy points for Umar Nurmagomedov.
There we go. So we got the under significant strikes and the Alhassan. We have the over 9 minutes for the Cachoeira Eubanks. We have the over Nurmagomedov. You said points?
Over points, yeah.
And then Gordo had the under significant strikes on Nascimento. So there we go. If you guys have not already.
I like
that. I like it as well. Sign up on Prize Picks using promo code PUBSports. All right, let us get into our favorite GPP play here. I'll kick this one off. I really like Charles Johnson this week, and I like him at 9,000. I think it's a very tough matchup for Jimmy Flick. I think Flick could potentially have some opportunities early, but Charles Johnson has a very good takedown defense, a very good get-up game, very good jiu-jitsu, honestly, a very bad haircut, but that's not going to matter here in this matchup. I feel like Jimmy Flick, if he does not get the takedowns, which I don't expect him to, I think he's going to fall off a cliff, and I think Johnson finishes him in the first or second round here. So I like Charles Johnson quite a bit. I know it's a flyweight fight, but this is a Jimmy Flick fight. He's a killer-be-killed fighter, and I think he does lose here and by knockout. So give me some Charles Johnson at 9K, and I believe he has Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, which is only another reason to like you some Charles Johnson this week. So Weezy, how about you? Who is your favorite GPP play this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with this Mateusz Rębecki. He's the second biggest favorite on the card. He's got an 88% finish rate as a pro. Fiore's taken this fight on short notice. He's never been past 1.5 rounds in his pro or amateur career. I think Rębecki finishes this fight early, pays off his salary. I think he looks good doing it. Just from what I've seen on tape from this kid, he's like a little fire plug. He's got a big overhand left that he uses to close the distance on his takedowns. And when he gets on top of dudes, it just looks like it looks like King Kong. He's like a little Alexander Romanov, just dropping down hammer fists. He's fun to watch. And Fiore this is just a big step up in competition for him. Rębecki's approaching 20 professional fights, and he's been around for a minute. So I think it's just a bad matchup in a lot of different ways for Nick Fiore here. So 9,400, a lot of these guys up here like Nurmagomedov, like Johnson, like Basharat, you're going to need to have a couple of punts or some lower salary guys to get them in there. But this week there's quite a few good choices, and my guy Rębecki is definitely one of them.
Absolutely. Gordo, how about you? Who is your favorite GPP play this week?
Yeah, I love him as well, 9.4K. But let's get different. Let's talk about the man of the hour, a guy who I didn't expect to be talking in 2023 as a GPP play of mine. But whenever he's out here, he is a GPP play. That is Razak Alhassan. He's a guy who has GPP is his middle name, really. Like, the guy has no cash value, no floor, because he goes out there, he puts everything into his first round. If he can't do that, he loses the fight. 11 wins, all of them by first round finish. This is a spot where I think he has the ability to take advantage of a lot of the holes in Ribeiro's game. And it's weird to say, because it's not like Alhassan has a perfect game, but what he does have here is, I think he's better defensively. I think he's got some judo and some wrestling in his back pocket. I think he has the ability to mix it up. And when you're exchanging with anyone like Abdul, Razak, Alhassan, you have to be defensively sound. And I don't think that Ribeiro is. So when you have someone like Alhassan at 8.3K, his path to victory is a first round knockout. I do think he can get that. And for that reason, he is very, very high owned in my GPP lineups.
And last but not least, Monk, how about you? Who are you liking this week for a GPP play?
Gordo, I absolutely love that call. I think he's going to be well under owned as well, because he's 1-4 in his last 5. People are just going to look past him. So love that play. Excuse me. I'll give you guys Daniel Argueta, simply for the fact he's going against someone named Slick Nick Aguirre, who has 7 professional fights. His strength of schedule is one of the lowest I've ever seen. Like, it's close to Tresean Gore levels of bad. It's very, very bad. Argueta is 0-1 in the UFC, but he did lose to Damon Jackson, who's also on this card and is no slouch. He did not get finished, went all 5 rounds with him, and actually kept it somewhat close. He was at a $6,700 salary. Jackson did win that fight, but scored like 8,000 or 80 points at 9,500. It was a real party crasher. Argueta was that weekend. So give me Argueta here at 8,600 against a guy who, you know, as of yesterday, 2 days ago, wasn't even in the UFC, and he fights this Saturday against a guy who kept it close with Damon Jackson. Yeah, this one should be an auto pick, in my opinion. I don't like to use the term free square, but because I'm not quite old enough to be playing bingo yet, but this is about as good as a free square as I can think. I mean, the value at 8,600 here could literally be like 14, 15, 16. It could be something crazy. So give me Daniel Argueta for a big GPP play here.
I think the whole world is going to be rooting for Argueta this week. I think he's going to be so high owned, and rightfully so. Favorite cash play for me, I'll kick it off. I'm going Rębecki, 9,400. He is pretty expensive, but I have no problem getting into the lineup at all. So I like him a lot. Like Weezy said, he's really good. He's really fun to watch. He's well-rounded, has a lot of power on the feet, vicious ground and pound, really good wrestling, really good grappling. Just a lot of reasons to like this guy. And I think he does make quick work here. Gets probably a first or second round finish. He's finished, I think, all but 2 of his wins. So give me some Rębecki, and he's like a minus like 700, 800 favorite. It feels pretty safe to me. So liking him. Weezy, how about you? Who are you liking for cash this week?
It's Argueta. I mean, the price is so right here, especially for a minus 600 favorite. And his opponents face trash competition, is taking the fight on 3 days' notice. And at this price, you know, that's a value that's really difficult to pass up here. The line value here is crazy. So it'll be very risky to avoid Argueta in your cash lineup this week. I mean, if you don't put him in there, you better be right just about everything. Because if this guy goes out there and finishes this Aguirre kid, then it's, you know, at 8,600, it's very unlikely that he's not going to be optimal. So it's a real big risk to leave him out. It's a real big risk to leave Sean Strickland out at 7,700 this week. I think if you can really build around those 2 guys, that'll give you some upside to go up and get some of those guys like Rębecki, like Nurmagomedov, like Charles Johnson up at the top. But, you know, like Bootsy always says, you got to have those dogs in your lineup. So, you know, Strickland's a great piece there. And to get Argueta at 8,600 when he's minus 600 is another great spot to go.
Is Bootsy on Aguirre?
I don't know. It's Aguirre. My guy Victor De Jesus actually sent me a clip of him pronouncing it, because I'm used to the old DePaul basketball player Mark Aguirre from way back in the day. He was in the NBA as well. He spells his name the same way, so that was Aguirre. And he told me, no, man, it's not Aguirre, it's Aguirre. And that is how you pronounce that young man's name. And but, you know, Oswego, Illinois, stand up. That's where this Aguirre is from. And, you know, it's Argueta's also an Illinois guy, in Orland Park, Illinois, if I remember correctly. So Oswego, Orland Park, stand up, the Battle of Illinois. And I think the Battle of Illinois is going to be won by one Dan Argueta.
Yeah, I was watching tape on a Geary trying to figure out how to pronounce his name, and the announcers were all like each one was pronouncing it differently, so it's hard to kind of pick it up there. But yeah, who are we at? We're at Gordo, right?
Yes, we are.
All right, what do you got?
All right, cash plays. First of all, congratulations to you guys, the MMA Engine, for 15K subs or 1,500 subs. I saw it for Lou. Had to say something. Anyways, cash play. As much as I like Rębecki up top, we already talked about him. I think it's the perfect time to address this elephant, no pun, because it is inflated, of Umar Nurmagomedov in this. And this is something that you cannot touch the betting line, in my opinion. But when you're creating a cash lineup, he's not a bad option, because at $9,300, you're getting a fighter who is minus 1,000, minus 1,100. And I do think that although we want to give Barcelos credit, he is a fighter who has many, many skills and he is being disrespected. The most likely outcome is Umar wins this fight. And the most likely outcome is Umar wins this by wrestling and control time and takedowns. And in doing so, he scores very well. So although I don't think he is the best GPP play, because I don't think he necessarily finishes Barcelos or lives up to his minus 1,000 price tag as much as people want him to, I do think he has got a very, very high floor this week. And for that reason, he's a good cash play.
And Monk, how about you?
I'll go with the seemingly automatic Javid Basharat. Middle name, or actually his name might as well be Javid Kasharat. Am I right? Because this is what a great cash play this is. $9,200 here, 2.95 points a minute, 74.3 points per win. Not sure who Mateusz Mendonça is, but they didn't bring him in here to smash up Basharat. Or they should have called him Javid Smasharat, am I right? Because he's gonna smash Mateusz Mendonça here for your cash lineup. So yeah, long story short, give me Javid. I've gone against this guy twice. He's proven me wrong twice. Yeah. I've looked like a fool. So I'm gonna go with Javid Kasharat here for best cash play.
Javid Kasharat. There you go. All right. Favorite value play. I'll kick this one off. Going to keep it short and sweet. It's Daniel Argueta. He's 8,600. He should be a lot higher than that. I'm just going to take a look at what he's at on the money line now. It looks like he's like minus 600. So it's a steal. He's going to be one of the highest, if not the highest owned fighter on the slate. And he's a value play for me. So I'm going to have a ton of Argueta this week. Monk, how about you? Who is your favorite value play this week?
We'll go with Raoni Barcelos here. If basically bottom line, if Nurmagomedov doesn't get it done, which again I think he will get it done, but if he doesn't, I mean Barcelos at 6,900 has potential rather to be the best value on the card, scoring almost 3.76 points a minute. As I said in his last 5, he's $2,000 under his average salary. So give me Raoni Barcelos as a possible value play through the roof.
Sorry, I was doing. Never mind. Gordo, how about you? What do you got?
Yeah, I hear all your plays. I agree, and I'm going to go against the grain once again here. And you know what? I'll take the heat. Why not? Punahele Soriano, he's a value play for me this week. And I know a lot of people aren't on him as much on the drafting side of things, but I do think that not only does he have finish equity in his spot, but I do think he has a higher winning potential than people are saying it out to be. I'm not that high on Kopylov. I don't like the way he reacts, not only to the ground game, which we know is atrocious, but I don't think that he has necessarily the high volume or high optics to go out there or win a decision on a high clip. I know Punahele Soriano is usually like KO or bust, but I do think it's a spot where he's working on his game. He will have an opportunity to hit the chin of Kopylov, who doesn't have the best striking defense and has the wrestling in his back pocket if he chooses to implement it. I think that the ceiling of Punahele Soriano, 8.5K, will far much exceed his value if he fights the best of his ability.
And lastly, we got Weezy. Weezy, how about your value play?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Abdul Razak Alhassan. It hurts me to say those words, it really does. But whoever wins this fight is going to be value because fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at minus 600 for this fight. These guys tend to finish in the very first round when they do finish fights. I think Razak is the more well-rounded fighter here. I think he's got more paths to victory. So it's priced at 8,300 for a guy who averages 127 DraftKings points when he wins. I would say that's big value. But, it could absolutely be Abdul Razak who's sleeping here. And in that case, the value would be on Ribeiro. But I'm just going with Razak here. I think he gets this job done at 8,300. It's really hard to pass on this dude this week.
Yep, agreed. All right, lastly, we have the dart throw. And Weezy, we'll stick with you. What is your dart throw for this week?
I'm going to go with Mateus Mendoza. Now, I know we had the comedy stylings of Shecky Green over there, like he was working the Catskills rooms, telling us about Casherat and Basharat and Smasherat and all that shit. But at 7,000, I think this Mendoza kid, he's really good, really well-rounded for a young fighter. Mateus has an impressive win against a veteran in Pedro Nobre on the regional scene, and he was only 21 years old when he beat a 21-5-2 Pedro Nobre. He took 2 years off after that fight and then won his Dana White Contender Series fight in less than a minute by KO. Basharat's looked fantastic thus far, so I think he's going to be high-owned. He's got a great skill set, and I think Basharat's got a very bright future as well in the UFC. But Mateus is going to be very low-owned, and I don't think Mateus is going to be that far out of his league. You guys got to think of it this way. A lot of people are saying, why are you throwing Mendoza, this 10-0 prospect, to a guy who's on a 3-fight winning streak at the UFC level, who just beat Tony Gravely pretty convincingly? The way I look at it is, I kind of feel like it's more of a nod to Mateus Mendoza that they're willing to feed him to Javid Basharat in his debut fight. The fact that this kid took that fight and accepted it, knowing that he could have gotten a lot easier of a fight than Javid Basharat, leads me to believe that this kid might surprise some people here on Saturday. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch the complete performance he put on against Pedro Nobre a little over 2 years ago, you guys. He did a fantastic job in that fight. The kid can wrestle. He can win minutes in the clinch, and he's got very dynamic, explosive distance striking where he utilizes a lot of different weapons. I love Mendoza at 7,000 this week for a dart throw. I think he's going to be super low owned, and man, if he comes through, this kid is definitely going to be optimal at that price.
Man, I can't wait for that fight. Like Prodigy saying in the chat, Mendoza's legit, and I 100% agree. Cannot wait for that one. Monk, how about you? Who is your dart throw this week?
Well, another guy that did something a little over 2 years ago, but at the UFC level, was Jimmy Flick. Jimmy the Brick Flick. Come on, man. $7,200. This is Pusha T's favorite fighter, obviously. $7,200. Yeah, he didn't do anything against Cody Durden. Scored 0.8 points per minute. Ended up with 92 when he won that fight after allowing almost 7 points per minute. So he loses that fight until he doesn't. Meanwhile, Charles Johnson is out here in these streets giving up 5 points per minute and 119 when he lost to Muhammad Makayev. Put together, these guys are giving up like 12 points a minute. So there's just based on that number, there has to be value on Jimmy the Brick Flick. And at 7,200, it makes me even more happy to throw a dart over there. I guarantee he's going to be very low owned. Everybody and their mom is on Charles Johnson here. So give me a little bit of Jimmy Flick.
Yeah, you took mine. It's Flick for me as well, 7,200, just because I think his path to victory, if he wins this fight, if he pulls off the upset, it's going to score very well. I think it's a submission. I think it's a first-round submission. He's really good on the mat. He just needs to get it there. I will be having some dart throws with Flick myself there. And then, Gordo, how about you? Who is your favorite dart throw?
Yeah, mine is Flick as well. I think that is the dart throw of all dart throws. But since everybody already talked about him already, let's give me the opportunity to talk about Sijara Eubanks. I'll also be throwing some dart throws that way as well, just because you have to think that not only is she going to be extremely low owned because it's really hard to get to her. Whoever has the balls to play her and all those single entries is going to be, good for you. But everybody else is going to go up to those higher fighters above, and I get why. So you have a fighter whose path to victory is going to be takedown, takedown, takedown against someone with no takedown defense or a ground game. I wouldn't put a finish past her as well. Eubanks' path to victory scores very, very well. So I think at a lower at a lower ownership, I don't mind her in this spot either.
All right, so that's about it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over our lineups for this week. Brand new slate. It's 0 to 0 to 0 to 0. So we're going to see who starts off the year in the leaderboard. If you guys have any questions, be sure to type those questions now. We'll get to them. I saw a couple, and I'll bring those up shortly. But we'll start with you, Weezy. Do you have your lineup for this week?
I do. I'm going to go up top with Mateusz Rębecki at 9,400. Then we're going to go with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Charles Energy Johnson. Get a haircut, Charles, 9,000. We've got Dan Argueta, the pride of Orland Park, Illinois, at 8,600. We've got your Uncle Weezy's biggest bane to my existence, Abdul Razak Alhassan at 8,300. We've got everybody's favorite motorcycle crash artist in Sean Strickland at 7,700. And then the turquoise-haired Mateusz Mendoza at 7,000. Shoot box, stand up. Looking to start this one off with a bang, you guys, and really destroy all of these pricks here.
We're actually really close. We're 2 fighters off, Weezy. I have Argueta as well. I have Charles Johnson as well. I have Rębecki as well. I have Strickland as well. But I went with Dan Ige and then Raoni Barcelos down low. So really close there. Gordo, how about you? What do you got for this week?
I have 4 of the same as Weezy as well. Ooh. Not the same 4, though. I will tell you that. Let's just say that I'm coming for first place or I'm coming for last. This is a GPP lineup right here because we got ourselves the GOAT, Abdul Razak Alhassan. We have Rębecki. We have Argueta as well. We have Sean Strickland. And where we get a bit different is I took myself Punahele Soriano at 8.5 and Priscilla Cachoeira at 7.4.
Yeah, Priscilla Cachoeira. All right, there we go. And then Monk, I'm curious to hear what you got for this week.
Oh, baby. I'm going Umar Nurmagomedov, Nassourdine Imavov, Daniel Argueta, Abdul Razak Alhassan, Damon Jackson, and Carlos Hernandez. I got way different than you guys this week. I love it.
It's either going to look really good or really bad. We'll have to find out. Cannot
boy.
Wait. Let's go. All right. And then we'll do some quick picks and then we'll answer some questions and get out of here. Weezy, we'll start with you. What are your quick picks for this week?
All right. I've got Nassourdine Imavov. I'm going with Action Jackson. Punahele Soriano. I'm going with Lorenzo Lamas by decision. Umar Nurmagomedov. Abdul Razak Alhassan, Mateusz Rębecki, Javid Basharat, Alain Nascimento, the pride of Orland Park, Illinois, Dan Argueta, Charles Energy Johnson is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, and then the very handsome Sijara Eubanks to win by decision in the curtain jerker.
There we go. Gordo, what are your quick picks for this week?
Yeah, we're getting it started with the fight of the year. We're taking Sijara Eubanks. Sorry, we're taking Priscilla Cachoeira in the first one. Underdog shot there. Charles Johnson, Daniel Argueta, Alain Nascimento, Javid Basharat, Mateusz Rębecki, or however Weezy says it much better than me. Abdul Razak Alhassan, Umar Nurmagomedov. Couldn't care less. Ketlen Vieira, Punahele Soriano, Dan Ige, and Sean Strickland.
I'm going to go with Eubanks, Johnson, Argueta, Nascimento, Basharat, Rębecki, Alhassan, Nurmagomedov, Vieira, Kopylov, Ige, and Sean Strickland. And then Monk, how about you?
Very close to you guys. I'm going, Eubanks, Johnson, Argueta, Nascimento, Basharat, Rębecki, apparently, Alhassan, Nurmagomedov, Pennington, Soriano, Jackson, and Imavov.
All right, so going to look and see if you have any questions here. We have it. Raw Torque, what is up, Raw Torque? How you doing? Saying Charles Johnson, and Javid Basharat parlay thoughts. I'm not parlaying anything on this card. I think people are going to gravitate towards the parlays with all these wide lines, but no parlays for me. Weezy, any thoughts on that parlay?
I like Johnson this week, but I'm not parlaying anybody either, man. I'm so much happier now that I've left parlays off of my track bets. I do my greasy four-legger every week, but other than that, I stay away from them. And I see more value in the dogs. These lines have been pushed entirely too far. So if you wouldn't bet something straight, don't parlay it either. And that's my best advice.
Would you bet Umar Nurmagomedov minus 1,000 straight?
Yeah, that is a 91% implied probability. So you would have to be right 95 out of 100 times to eke out this much profit. You know, I mean, and think about how often we're wrong. I mean, it's hilarious. There's this old Simpsons skit where they have a football prognosticator by the name of Smooth Jimmy Apollo. And he makes a joke and he says, folks, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time. You know, we're wrong a lot. You know, so when a line is telling you that you need to be right 95 out of 100 times in order to just make a tiny bit of profit, you should just walk away from it. And that's what I do. So I will not be parlaying Umar Nurmagomedov at minus 1,000, Brady.
Same. This can be for Monk. Monk, when did Eubanks become a world beater?
Oh God, there's so many jokes there. You have to start by beating something else before you become a world beater. So she is on her way. We'll just say that. But Cachoeira is pretty wild. So I mean, anything could happen. This fight is at 125. Neither of them are going to make it. They're going to also have to beat the weight as well. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes there.
Gordo, any thoughts on when did Eubanks become a world beater?
It must be all the OnlyFans revenue.
Well, they both have OnlyFans. Cachoeira has OnlyFans as well.
Help us.
Wait, they
help
both
us
have,
all.
Oh, man.
I was tempted to subscribe when I saw it, to be honest. Cachoeira, because it's interesting. Like I can't even imagine.
It's interesting.
What is the content?
I don't know.
There's only one way to find out. Who's brave.
I don't know.
No, I'm not brave.
That's the punishment for finishing last. That's the punishment for finishing last.
Yes, that's the punishment. You have to subscribe to Priscilla Cachoeira's OnlyFans. And like it. You have to like it as well. That's the punishment. You can't dislike it.
You have to prove that you like it.
All right. I think that's a great way to end the show. We'll kick it around. Weezy, let the people know what you got going on throughout the rest of the week.
10 o'clock Central Time tonight, Uncle Weezy's YouTube channel. Ask Weezy. Just ask me anything about cooking, about movies, about music, and most of all, about UFC Vegas 67, the statistics of these fighters. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to start off the show by doing a little bit of the work that I've been doing over this month off, which is showing you the data import that I'm doing to get all the UFC data from January 1st, 2013 on. I'll show you guys what I'm doing there. But other than that, I'm done. I'm going to give you guys Ask Weezy 10 o'clock Central Time tonight. I'll be putting out a greasy 4-leg parlay on my YouTube channel on Thursday once all of these props drop on all the other sites. And I'll be looking for ways to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 67. But join me tonight on my channel, and we'll talk some more about this card.
There we go. Let's see. Gordo, what do you have going on throughout the rest of the week?
Yeah, well, I just released my full card betting and DraftKings predictions on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I would appreciate if everybody went and check that out. Let's make some money together here in 2023. In terms of other stuff I'm doing, I also signed with Daily Fan MMA, working with Brett Apley over there. So I have a video with him tomorrow night. Unfortunately, I think it is behind a paywall, so you can only hear my voice on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel there. And then for everybody else who's looking to join a year-long DraftKings contest, I'm working on the Ironman the rest of the week. Feel free to DM me for that. That should be fun.
And Monk, what do you got going on?
You can catch me over on my YouTube channel, Monk Maddox, as spelled below. I do have a game theory video out where we go through each fight from a DraftKings perspective in about 40 minutes. Salary Voodoo will be out in about 20 minutes after we're done with this show. Got that recorded earlier today. And then Monk and Lou's Happy Hour on the MMA Engine this Friday. A good welcome back for me and Lou. I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to go over each and every fight for UFC Vegas 67. Let's make some money this week. God damn it. Let's welcome 2023 in with a bang. Let's go.
Let's do it. Glad to be back. You guys can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers, on TikTok, DFS by the numbers. Check me out there. And yeah, guys, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, become a member here at Pub Sports Radio. It does go a long, long way. And best of luck for UFC Vegas 67.